Hello and welcome to Life with Randy and Grace. Again, if you're following us, you know LIFE means living in full expression. So, say hi, honey.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
We we are on episode 2 of our retirement series. Last week, we just kind of scratched the surface on the obvious issues. Is it too late to plan? Do you have enough money? Am I being intentional and staying on my long-term plans for my health, my life, my relationships? And that was all focused on preparing for retirement. This week, we're getting a little more cerebral as we talk about what it actually feels like to live it. So, we're starting a new chapter of our lives. So, what are we going to do? That's our first topic, redefining our purpose.
Well, a new chapter. A friend of mine said when you retire, you become under new management. For details, ask my wife.
Not so.
But it is a challenge, and there's everybody's different. There's not one answer for everybody, and there are a lot of things to it. And I want to talk a little bit later today about flexibility. But where are we going first?
Well, we're redefining our purpose. What does it feel like if you were defined by your job in the first place? What does it feel like not to be defined by your job? And what's if you were defined by your job, then you understood what it was to be productive, right? Because every action had a result. But now we're just kind of being together.
Well, if you're defined by your job, I can relate to that. I think I had a little bit of that. You had a purpose, you were pretty good at it, you felt like you were contributing, and it made you feel good about yourself. And when you retire, that really changes, and you need to develop a new purpose and something else you have fun at or you can feel good about. And, and, but your life does change, and there's no one answer for everybody.
Well, and you said that last week that sometimes you need to try and find a hobby or a part-time job. We talked about, that you can kind of ease into retirement. Maybe you don't quit everything all at once. But either way, you really should not be have a sense of self that is only about your job. I think that's one of the good things that we have going for us because, as you said last week, it's important to um, be sure that you get along with the person you're going to retire
Yeah,
with.
right.
So I do think that we have that in terms of defining ourselves, that we enjoy being together and we like that aspect of our lives, being a couple.
Well, we do, but there can be challenges. Like we were talking to a friend this morning, and she had the same situation that we kind of had. Grace is the kind of person who can make herself busy. She has so many things she likes to do, and she's always busy. It's a little harder for me to develop things that I like to do, so I depended on her. So, I depended on her to be available if we want to go out for lunch or, if we want to go play golf or whatever. So, and it wasn't easy at first, but I really had to work at finding things to do with on my own or with my friends and not depend on her. We love being together, but I think I was trying to take up too much of her time.
Well, I think it's about redefining, like, who you thought you are, who you are going to be. Last week I really misspoke when I said that I didn't retire because I actually did retire. In a sense, I retired before you did, but I filled that space with other things. And the first thing that I filled it with was doing fitness, so I became a fitness instructor. But I can't say that it wasn't a job in the same way that my corporate job was a job. I mean, my corporate job, I was doing pretty well, making some good money. When I went into the fitness profession, that wasn't true anymore. I mean, it was a huge step down. I got paid. And then when we started moving around, a lot of that I had to retire again because if you build a base of clients in a particular city and he wasn't retired yet and we were still moving, so I had to constantly redefine. And because I am a Christian fitness instructor, that led me to more increased learning biblically and defining myself spiritually. So all of those things come into play in terms of how personally how I define myself, and a little bit rubbed off on him.
It depends on which category, depending on how much. But I don't know that you ever knew what retirement was like. It seems like you've always been busy. You always have things you like to do. And I think it was easier for you than it was for me. So, I'm kind of a structured person. So I had to come up with a plan and a strategy after a while. First of all, I thought I'd take 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 months, and see what developed. And not much developed. I mean, I realized I had to plan, I had to think about this. So I started thinking about what I like to do, and we talked about it, and we had a whole list of things. We had learning Italian, taking dance lessons, piano lessons, and we love to continue to learn, taking courses online. I came up with my list, golf, and I can only play golf once or twice a week, but I had golf and exercise I'll get into more later. And then I could still work part-time. So, and we developed these things and actually put them on a schedule. We'd have a certain time each week. We'd do the Italian lessons. And then we do the dance lessons. And the piano lessons didn't work out. There's no way. It just didn't work out. So I scratched that off the list. But
But yeah, I think that's true. And again, so going back to what you said last week about having a partner so we don't agree on a lot of things and we don't do a lot of the same things. But one of the things I think is a core thing for us is we both like to learn. So when we had to start saying, okay, what do we like to do together? And so that led us to learning. So we take courses online sometimes, or like he said, we'll take a dance class online. And it really, really helped us prepare for our trip to Italy because we both studied
the
Italian. We still
Italian,
do that.
not the dancing.
Right. The Italian, not the dancing. We didn't do a lot of dancing in Italy. No.
But we took a course last week on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and it's amazing. You learned a lot of this stuff in school. Well, they probably don't anymore,
Maybe
but we
not.
did. And how much you forget, and then it's really refreshing and wonderful to go back and see what the founding fathers did and what it really means. So that was really fun.
So I think the bottom line to that question of, you know, what do you do when you're no longer defined by your job is you're not losing your purpose in retirement. You are simply redefining your purpose.
Yes.
So, but bringing us to item number 2, health, healing, and wholeness. Our bodies are a key part of what we do when we retire. And I'm always telling my clients, students that, and I mentioned this last week, that if you want to talk about long-term health care programs, it's one thing to have insurance, but another thing for you to build your own long-term health insurance policy by eating the right things and doing the right things and staying healthy. And when I broke my leg, that was a fiasco. We didn't even think it was broken at first. But
Uh, it was badly wrong.
I'm lying on the floor. My whole body is going this way, and one leg is going this way from the knee. And but we're thinking, oh, there's no bone popping out of the skin, so maybe we're okay. We get to the ortho urgent care, and they said, get this woman to a hospital immediately. Okay, so after 8 hours in the hallway, they finally took me in and realized, yes, my leg was very much broken. But my point here is that the
Well, before you
doctors,
finish that, then the doctor says I should take her home, and they drugged her for painkiller, and she didn't even know what her name was. She couldn't hardly stand up, and I went, "Take her home? Are you kidding me? You keep her. I don't know what to do with her." So she slept on a gurney in the hallway in the emergency room. At least she had good care.
right, well,
Oh, that was
But
awful.
if I rolled off the gurney, at least somebody would have been there to catch me. But the point is that there was a woman who came in with a very similar injury about a week after I went in, and my doctor was just so amazed because my healing was so was going so well. It was going so quickly. And the woman who came in a week after me was in the hospital 2 weeks later. Why? Because she had not put the effort into keeping her body strong enough and limber enough to heal well. So, yes, we do that so that we will be prepared when something that we cannot expect happens. So, all of those things are important if you're going to enjoy your retirement, because the last thing you want to do is be retired and not be able to do any of the things that you enjoy doing or plan to do. You get hit with an illness or an accident. You had 2 knee replacements.
Yeah, I did, and came through them very well. I think for similar reason that you're talking about. But and it took me about 6 weeks to get over. I was a little depressed at the time because I could not exercise. But then everything's fine now. It's great. Thank God they can do miraculous surgeries like that now, or I would never be walking right, much less running. But I was really surprised when I retired and I started working out every day, which I had time to do. And now I work out every day, at least an hour. I do weights 2 or 3 times. I do treadmill or walking or ride my bike. And my cholesterol, just about my entire middle age and early senior life, was over 200. And the last time I had it checked, it was 178. My blood pressure's down to, like, for my age, it's not bad, 130 over 88. It was like 150. So it's amazing. So I have time to do it. I kind of enjoy doing it now, and it's really helped my health, I think.
Definitely.
So there you go. Retirement can give you time to do things that not only enjoy but are good for you. You didn't have time before.
Right. And you have to have that baseline of what is it that you want long term. And I mean, some people might look at it and say, well, what's the bucket list? What are the things you want to achieve? If travel is a big part, you have to stay healthy for that too. So it's all about stewardship of our bodies, right? So as a Christian believer, I live in the temple, right, of the Holy Spirit, and so it's my responsibility to take care of that. Can't just, feed it garbage and expect it to perform. Not that I don't like some not so good things. If there's a potato chip factory nearby and they tell me the end of the world is coming, I'm going straight there and I'm going to stay there and eat my little heart out. Just so you know.
Followed by chocolate cake for dessert.
And chocolate cake for dessert. Right. Okay. Don't tell anybody that your fitness professional told you that, by the way. Okay. So the point is, health is not just maintenance. It is a gateway to the freedom that we need in retirement and the vitality and strength that we need at this point in our lives. But how does that lead us to what we do on a daily basis?
Well, like I mentioned before, it depends on the person, but I'm kind of a structured person, and that's why, I actually put together, I don't know if you, our little daily schedule, and it talks about what we could do at different times during the week, which is really helpful. And it's amazing how many times we were going to do one of these things and something else came up, but it gives you some structure, which I really liked. And you can look at it and say, like golf on Wednesday. Well, if it's raining, we're not going to do golf. We'll do something else. But I like the structure.
Right.
When you say a daily rhythm, this is what helped me get into a daily
Right.
rhythm.
Because it's a fallback position. So if somebody calls and says, hey, let's go play golf, fine. We don't have to do our Italian lesson that day. But if it's raining and you can't play golf and you planned on playing golf, we have something that's in the can, so to speak, that we can go to. I'm doing a program at St. Peter's, which is a very funny thing. So, sidebar, if anybody thinks God doesn't have a sense of humor, he has a huge sense of humor. We used to live in the neighborhood where this church is. I was looking for clients at churches. Never happened while we were there. We were there 2.5 years, right? And so we move away, and a year later, I get a call from a church from the neighborhood we used to live in. So now we're traveling back and forth every month to do classes there. But the thing about it is that program is pretty much a senior program, and it is all inclusive, body, soul, and spirit. So we do nutritional training, we do physical exercise training, and we do meditation and prayer, and how it all links together. Because when you are led by the spirit part of your body, your soul, right, your emotions, your mind clicks in, and then you're doing the physical things that are right for you. But when you go the other way, if you just focus on the physical, somehow your emotions and your soul get left behind. So that would be my other little thing. Start with the spirit and work through. Um, so that's kind of how my life is and how I teach my clients. It's a good thing to do. But if you feel lost and restless after retirement, you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And, I guess my recommendation is get hooked up with a local church or a community, somewhere you can volunteer, where you can do something that's not just about you. You were looking at volunteering for a while at schools.
Yeah, I went over and I speak occasionally at colleges about business and that kind of thing to volunteer. But everybody's different. Some people enjoy volunteering, some people don't. But volunteering, the other thing volunteering does, it gets you talking to people, relating to people. And I don't know anybody that likes living retirement alone. So you need to do something to interact with people, enjoy people, get with your friends or whatever to make it social as well. I think that's why a lot of these places like Del Webb and the villages, that's got another reputation down in Florida, but I think that's why these places are so popular because it's structured, brings people together, cards, pickleball, whatever, and everybody gets together and socializes. And that can also be very enjoyable.
Right. Many people are very involved with their families. We're not, mostly because they don't live near
Too
us.
far away.
Right. But again, this is another scriptural thing. We are not meant to be alone, and God will place you in places where other people are around you, where you can influence them and they can help you. I know, even like we've learned a lot from each other over the years, a lot. So it's an important thing to be around a good community of people. But I was reading an article just this morning. I'd never heard of this gentleman. His name is Adonis Lindsay. And he wrote this article about being intentional and about how to really make progress in your life, right? So you say, oh, I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to go back to the gym, or I'm going to start spending more time with the people I love, or I'm going to read this book, or start a business, or start going after my dreams. And the list goes on and on and on. But there are a lot of things that you have to do. I thought this was really key. And this is his stuff, but I totally agree with it. Number one, stop worrying about things that are out of your control. I mean, last week we had someone who asked about something about worrying too much about, what she was going to do and with her money. Well, your money is in your control, but sometimes there are things that are out of your control. And if you're worrying about them, you're just praying for a negative thing to happen. So don't spend countless hours worrying about things and stressing over things that you can't control. They're beyond your control. So just let it go and focus on moving forward. If you're a person of earth, fixed tongue. If you're a person of faith, leave it in God's hands.
Well, and speaking of worrying, a lot of people try to make things too perfect or too complete or want every I dotted and T crossed before they move ahead. And to me, that brings up the term flexibility. Like in retirement, think of things. Let's say it takes you a while to get in the rhythm, like we talked about, of all these other things to do that you enjoy. Well, maybe there is some part-time volunteer or some work you can do. Maybe you can go back part-time to your old job if you want to. Some people do that. Maybe you start a new career. We had a friend we were talking this morning who started being an Uber driver. And he's got some
That's
amazing,
dangerous.
funny stories about people that he transported around or whatever. But I don't know that if that would be for me. Although at times I think it might be fun. What is that?
You know,
Tales of a Taxi Driver. It
my
would be
dad,
interesting.
my dad did that.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have Uber then, but he became a car
Well, your father
driver.
would be great at that.
Oh yeah, because he's a
You can
character
talk to
on
anybody.
himself.
But
But
the point is, have some faith. It's going to work out. Trust yourself. You'll develop some things. Doesn't mean you don't plan. You do plan, but and keep
be
flexibility in there
flexible,
if you can.
right? The second point this gentleman made was stop trying to make everybody else happy.
Hmm.
That's a big one. That's a big one. And because again, typically when we're trying to make other people happy, it's really driven by being afraid of what other people think of you. So if I'm going to go scriptural, Proverbs 29:25, fear of man is a dangerous trap. Trust no one but God. He's your means of safety. So, you have to find happiness on your own, uh, and free yourself of this burden of worrying about what other people think, because that is not helpful. Along with that, stop worrying about what other people have versus you. Comparison is a killer. It will kill you every time. If you try to size yourself up to what other people are doing, this is one of the reasons that social media can be so harmful,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because
Everybody puts the best thing of themselves on there all of the time, and people think that's just normal for them, and they feel inferior. It's horrible.
it's horrible, horrible. Um, and I have friends like this, my friends like this, I get calls all the time. Stop complaining about your current situation. Uh, Complaining about something all the time that never changes. So it just simply distracts you from the ability to move forward. So redefine. Find those groups of people. If you're more focused on helping other people, you will be less focused on complaining about the situation that you're in. And one thing I think that I've definitely learned is that I can be if I used to be. I'm not like this anymore, am I, honey?
Well, say it and we'll see.
Stop trying to make something happen that's not supposed to happen. Like this thing with St. Peter's, for 2.5 years, I was looking for a partner with a church. Didn't work out under my own knocking on the same door. When I gave it up, boom, there it comes. So sometimes you just don't know when that window or door of opportunity is going to open. But again, have faith. Eventually it will, if it's a door you're supposed to walk through. Look at you. Who the heck expected that you were going to be a manager of 2 farms?
That's true. I won't even get into that story today. That's a whole nother
That's a
soap opera there.
But let me tell you something. If you're out there and you have a particular question about business, I didn't understand this. When Randy and I first got together, and I was thinking then maybe I should have a fitness business, have a gym, da da da. And he would say no, no, no. Or if I were talking about marketing and he would say no, no, no. And I would say, what do you know about that? You've never been in retail, you've never been in fitness. What he has proven time and time again, business is business, right?
True. If you know how to run a business and you're a good leader of people, you can run just about anything. If you have the technical people to rely on also in the business, but you lead it, you can lead anything.
So I think that's a very, very important piece to any puzzle, is that you can find the right mentor and move forward. So my point is that if you're thinking of trying to start a business, contact him. He's fabulous. Okay. And stop procrastinating. There's always a reason why today is not the best day. It's just get started. One teeny step, one foot in front of the other. Stop procrastinating. There is no reason you should be held back. And don't let some previous hurt or insult or anything stop you. Just move forward. And don't doubt yourself. I would do that all the time. All the time. Doubting myself. Sometimes it's even if if we get into the car and I can't find my phone immediately, I'll think, oh, I must have left it somewhere. I'll come back into the house. I'll look all around the house only to find it was right where it was supposed to be in my handbag. So, but I immediately jumped to the conclusion that I hadn't put it where. Don't do that. Have faith in yourself. It's a good thing to do. So, all of that, there are lots of different things on everybody's list that you can do or that you are doing that you should stop doing. But whatever it is, don't waste any more time. Just move forward and you'll get closer to meeting your goals. So I think we're ready for questions.
Yes, we are.
I think we're ready for questions. Oh my. Maria from San Diego says, Grace, when you talk about living intentionally, what are a few things I can start doing right away? Okay, the most immediate thing is to take a hard look inside yourself and say, what is it that I would like to do? And this can be a very hard thing to do because there are some times when you've been hurt by things and you don't want to look at it, but you need to go deep. You need to dig deep, grab it, put it on the table and say, what are these things that I would like to do? Or what are these things that have hurt me that make me afraid to move forward? Got to be honest with yourself. And then take them one by one and start a teeny step to move forward on that fear.
Well, and Maria asked, what can I start doing right now?
Right now.
What you said, but you can incorporate that into a plan. Start writing things down. It's amazing how much it helps rather than just think about things, to write them down, put them on paper. I don't even understand why it's so helpful, but it's really helpful. And have a plan and a strategy, and all of a sudden it will start to come together.
To your point, I just met with a client the other day, and she went to a retreat. Now, she is a retired person. She went to a retreat a year ago, and everybody was so happy and joyful. And, there were ministers and people talking and giving self-help, and everybody was happy, and she was miserable. And she felt so bad after the 3 days. She was so broken and hurting. So what did she do? She analyzed and she got a little bag and she wrote down everything that had hurt her and everything that was stopping her, and she put it in this bag. And then over the year, she took them out one by one and started to take actions to get over that particular hurt or that particular grief. And this year she's going back to the retreat and she's going to be one of the speakers. Couldn't agree with you more. Write it down, good or bad, and address it. One simple step at a time. Do not try to do everything all at once. Hope that works for you. Robert in Miami, Florida, has spent decades taking care of everyone else. Oh, we talked about that. I'm finding it difficult to focus more on myself. Any advice?
Well, some people think if they focus on themselves, they're being selfish. But, as the old expression, you cannot love anyone else or other people unless you love yourself. It took me a long time to really figure that one out. But you have to take care of yourself, be good to yourself. Then you're in a better mood. You're in a more open mood to share and help other people if you don't have these burdens on yourself. So don't think of it as selfish. If you get very purposeful and happy in your retirement, you're gonna help other people more than you would anyway. So that would be my advice on that.
One of the ways that I have heard others express it, and I've adopted it myself, if you're a glass of water, when you're full is when you can share your water with other people. But if you're empty, if you're not putting anything back into that glass, you have nothing to share. So don't think about it as being selfish. Think about it as being self-full.
It's a good analogy.
You want to read that one?
David from Portland, Oregon. You mentioned health and faith being connected. What are small ways to strengthen both?
Well, one of the things that I do to strengthen both is, first of all, if you consider yourself a faithful person or a praying person, you know what? You don't have to be in a room or in a church or on your knees. You can, every action you take. One of the things that we say in class is we start our class with everything that we do, every movement that we make today is an act of prayer. We might have an intention that the whole class is working on together. But I think that you can, first of all, use whatever actions you're taking in your health and express them as an act of faith. And I think also that if you have faith, if you are the type of person who likes to pray, then just thank God for the advice he is already, just assume he's already going to give it to you to move forward to be able to take care of your health. And your doctors and your nutritionist or your spouse that understand that he has put them in your life to help you, to keep you healthy and to keep you strong. Everything goes back to faith, no matter what the physical thing is that you're dealing with. But again, this is a program that I do. If you need me, reach out. Susan from Boston. In retirement, I'm trying to stay busy and strengthen my faith. What are some good volunteering ideas?
Wow. That's a broad question. There's so many ways you can volunteer. I think one of the best ways would be volunteer at the church because you're going right in with your faith, and there's all kinds of people that maybe need social contact. One of our friends this morning was saying she volunteers to go over to nursing homes and talk to elderly people. They're lonesome. They love it. They absolutely love it. It's a wonderful way and to feel purposeful. But there's so many ways and ways you could volunteer. It's a hard question. And basically, try to find something you enjoy doing that would also help other people, and
Exactly.
then go find that. But the church and meeting those people, church is a great way to do that.
Absolutely everything. Do you like to sew? Do you like to knit? Do you like to do crafts? Any of these things you can teach people your age or people younger. The nursing home, there's this, I think some hospitals have programs for babies who need to be held for a while.
I'll pass on that one.
Well, a lot of people gravitate to that type of thing. Going to a school and offering. I've even thought about bringing fitness to a school if they needed help with that. I've done those kinds of things at the Open Gate.
So
And
you're doing what we're talking about, things you're good at or enjoy that other people might benefit from, volunteer in that direction.
right, exactly. You have no idea the number of gifts and skills that you already have that that you can offer and share with other people. Bring a little bit of light and sunshine into their lives. So I think we've covered a lot of stuff today, but I just think that the biggest, most important thing is that in retirement, you are redefining yourself. You're growing in a new way. You're going to find new possibilities. Don't focus on the past or what it was like, or just move forward with all of the learning, all of the gifts that you have to bring you into a new defined area of living. So I think maybe the concept of living intentionally, maybe that's what retirement is all about in the first place. Anyway, I hope you had some fun. And again, reach out if there's anything more that you would like something defined about. Either follow us next week or send us a note, contact us in some way, and we would be happy to help. I hope you join us next week.